When I first built a Homelab, I blew out the power at my house 3 times in a row. Somehow, that ended up being the best career move I've ever made. It got me a job faster than my computer science degree ever has. In this video, I'm going to tell you how Homelabbing changed my life, got me multiple job offers within the span of a week in between blowing out my fuses. Also, I'm going to tell you the story of my colleague who ended up being a software engineer for less than a year and now is working a 200,000 plus job, all thanks to his Homelab. Let me paint you a scenario and tell me if you know what I'm talking about. You wake up super motivated. You're excited. You don't need no coffee to get out of bed. You just fly, right? You go to work. You're super excited. You walk in, sit down. First thing you do, open up your laptop, start the day. You're going to be so productive and you're going to crush it today. Okay, so you open the laptop, you have a look. What do you have? Block meetings. Oh, my favorite. Scrum. Sync, weekly, meeting with stakeholder, follow up with stakeholder. Lunchtime that you blocked up for yourself is going to get overridden by another meeting. Somehow this is the life of every engineer that moved up the ladder, proved themselves, and they got somewhere. So at the end of the day, you come back home, you're tired, but you somehow are unfulfilled. Do you know what I'm talking about? That was my life 3 years ago. So what did I do? I started a Homelab, as you might have guessed. And you're probably at this step as well. But let me tell you, this was by far the best decision I've ever made in my life. I went and I looked for advice. A lot of people were recommending the little PCs, but in my mind, no, I need something chunkier, right? I'm going to be a real server engineer. So go to eBay. And I found a $20 Dell huge server box that was running Windows Server on it. It's disgusting, but it was great. $20, free shipping, amazing. What could go wrong, right? So it comes home, I'm beyond excited, like a kid on Christmas. I go and pack it, put it down on my office floor. Boys, let me tell you, it was, the jet engines were going off. It felt like one of those Jet 2 holidays with the Boeings.
Nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday.
It just... and it would be loud. And I booted up, plug in a monitor to it, Windows Server. And I started installing Mint on it. 20% through. Boom, the power in my house blows out. And I'm out of luck. And what happened? Smoke. Real smoke blowing out of the case. Go and I check, the PSU is gone, the power supply unit. By the way, this one came with 2 detachable power supply units. I'm like, it's fine. It's just for redundancy. So I plug it in again. 10 minutes later, boom, power out in the whole house again. My wife at this point is furious with me because there is now not only smoke coming out of the house, but the power has been blown out twice. Turn on the power of the house. Homelab. Dead. My dreams were blown out. This is it, and I just go to bed for the rest of the day. Then, next day, get up, go, and tell myself, Mama raised no quitter. So, I go on eBay and I order 2 more PSUs because they came in bundles. By the way, those PSUs were from 2010, 2011. They were ancient. It was extremely difficult to find them, and they were 3 times the cost of the server, okay? They were $60. For 2. That server cost me $20. I don't know what I was doing wrong. I literally plugged it in the wall directly, not in an extension cable or anything, just directly in the wall. I don't know how servers work. This was my first Homelab, right? So I go and I order 2 more. A couple of days later, they arrive. I use this as an excuse to drop all of my meetings and I go plug them into the server again and start. It boots up, by the way. The sound of a machine, fans, even if they're a jet engine fan, starting after it refusing to start on you for days is... it's heaven. Anyway, so the server starts, I start installing Mint again, and I blow out the fuses yet again. And that was kind of it. That was kind of it for that server. Then after that, I had to move my house. And this is the best move you ever did in your career, blowing out 4 fuses. Let me finish. In between those 2 installation periods, between the first one and the second arrival, I was interviewing for new positions. I was very much over my old job, and I was interviewing. Of course, After getting the server first, I put it on my CV, LinkedIn, and I started posting about Homelabbing and the life of a Homelabber, blah, blah, blah. Basically, I was so excited I already had jumped the gun. Even if the PSUs never arrived or anything like that, I would have still kept living the sysadmin life in my head. So I started posting about it, brought it up in all of my CVs, and more importantly, I brought it up in my interviews. Every single interview I had, in the introductions, I would often drop in, I was, when somebody asks you, how are you doing? I slept in late because I was working on my home lab. I promise I was much sneakier than this. But the point is that every single time somebody would see me mention it, like the keyword home lab, as soon as people heard that, you could see their eyes like, whoa! Like they would go, what? What did he say? They wouldn't. Most interviewers are very professional and they really tried to hide it well, but it was very obvious. Like it was hook, line, and sinker. Literally every single time. Most of those interviews, by the way, ended up very quickly. After this, we would just devolve into a chit chat. Technical interviews would be 1 to 2 questions max. Like we would never go into too much detail at all. Yeah, I ended up getting 3 job offers at the end of that period. It was a smashing success. It felt like I had discovered the life hack. And to be honest, it's kind of true. Back in my day, in the 2010s, open source projects were the big winner for job seekers. Nowadays, most people picked up on the open source trend. Now everybody has a GitHub account and they're posting on it regularly, or at least they're really trying. The way to distinguish yourself nowadays, I feel like, is absolutely some hardware on the side. It allows you to experiment and allows you to be creative and to free up yourself and all wonderful things. But most importantly, it absolutely blows out the competition when you are competing on the job market. The reality is that the Homelabbing community is not that big. I think that it will grow as time goes on, especially as piracy is now on the rise. But until we hit that saturation point, I think this is an absolutely killer opportunity for anybody looking for a job. And obviously you can combine it with some open source projects on the side and you can really create a magical beast. The last example I want to give you to reinforce this point is an example of somebody that I interviewed. For the record, I am a director of software engineering at my current position. I've done several hundred in-person interviews this year, and I've reviewed over a couple of thousand junior CVs and resumes. There is only one person who stood out and who I offered to before the end of the interview. Hello, John. The reason why I say this is because this was the only singular person that sat down and, beyond working a full-time job, was also working on personal projects on the side. We work in AI, so he was working with models and inference engines on the side, on top of his normal work. Okay, so he would go and knock out 9-10 hour shifts in an unrelated field to software engineering, and then he would jump in and do this for a couple hours and then go to sleep. Now, the man is a beast and somehow has the motivation of a wild man. I don't know how he pulls it off. The thing is, he didn't do anything requiring superhuman abilities. All he did was pursue projects that were interesting to him. And they revolved around tech and around self-reliance and around Homelabbing and that beautiful bundle of work. I only saw one person like this throughout all of the hundreds of interviews and thousands of applications. One person. Yes, the job market is kind of bad for juniors. You know why? Because there is no talent. People were not good. And I promise you, if you're watching this, you are already in the top 1++%. Just bring out your passion, mention your personal projects, just do a little bit. I promise you, you're going to outpace the competition massively. It doesn't matter what you do at work. It is the things that you do for joy that you really get judged at. During the interview, I already knew I was going to like him just based off of the strong resume. Technically, you could tell that he knew what was up. And it wasn't just, I have a home lab and they actually have a personal computer alongside their work one. You know what I mean? he clearly had put in some time to explore and do something special with it. And in his case, he started talking about how he was locally hosting Homelab models and he was using them to optimize his current workflow at work. And that was back in the time where ChatGPT at work was still kind of a not fully allowed thing. It was considered kind of cheating. Is it cheating? Is it not cheating? Now everybody's using it. But back in the first couple of months, it was like this. At that point, I knew I was going to hire him. So we kind of blasted through the rest of the interview. Very quickly, we went through the technical, cultural fit, and that kind of stuff, and ended up giving him an offer even before we finished the interview. I just told him, when are you ready to start? If you take away anything from this video is you can start your computer science career today. Any mini computer will do, okay? I'm looking at one right now, $200. Trust me, this will change your life. Just do it.